Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President and CEO of the Consumer Technology Association, Gary Shapiro.
Good afternoon. Our keynote today demonstrates the growth and range of CES as it expands beyond traditional technology companies. Under Armour is breaking new ground in fitness, technology, and health. What started out as a single tight shirt back in 1996 ultimately led to the launch of Under Armour. The high-performance apparel and footwear brand is recognized around the world for making products that solve problems. And for the past 20 years, Under Armour has changed the way athletes dress through passion, design, and the relentless pursuit of innovation. Now, through its connected fitness platforms, they are changing the way athletes live. Founder and CEO Kevin Plank believes that Under Armour is not only a brand, but is actually a culture. Employees are called teammates, and the team is aggressive, young, and fearless. In just 20 years, they have skyrocketed to the top 3 sportswear brands in the world. And you know, they won't stop until they become number 1. Let's watch a video Under Armour refers to as the voice of the brand.
so much, Gary. Appreciate it. Well, welcome, everyone. It is really a great thing to be here, and I want to thank you for coming out to visit and feeling a little bit of Under Armour. And like most things Under Armour, we're going to put about an hour and a half into about a 60-minute bag, so bear with us in a little bit. So hopefully what you felt from that video is some of the energy and the passion that drives from our brand. And Under Armour is certainly a great brand. What we like to say is that every great brand is like a great story, and every great story is made up of chapters in a book. And with us, it always has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that's certainly the case at Under Armour. Every product we build, every athlete we sign, every league that we partner with is like a chapter in the book of our story. And our job is managing that story chapter by chapter as it progresses. But the key to any great brand are they have two dynamic qualities, which all the entrepreneurs, innovators, scientists, any founders that are sitting in this room right now know. And those two qualities that we find so important are always consistent about personality and point of view. When you walk in our stores, when you try on one of our products, when you see one of our spots, everything has that same essence about personality and point of view. And I can assure you that we as a brand have both, and I hope to convey that to you today. You might be asking yourself now, why is a sports brand at CES? What Gary talked about is how opening the aperture of this conference for companies that traditionally would be seen as non-tech. Well, what I hope to show you today is that the fact is we've always been tech. So what is it about consumer electronics that we can learn from the business of sports, and especially from some jock? It's been a long time since I've competed on the gridiron or any field, but I've been competing in business for the past 20 years, and we like to win. And what's been built is a brand that has a lot of things to be incredibly proud of so far, including a brand that as a business has seen 26 consecutive public quarters with 20+% top-line revenue growth, a feat that's never been accomplished in consumer retail before. And of course, a brand that is focused on product innovation that has been simply communicated. And I can't emphasize enough how important it is to have these incredibly technological, difficult, incredibly Herculean ideas, but unless you can convey that to someone, it just doesn't matter. But our brand's transformation from a single t-shirt, that single basic idea that we had, into a global technology company is something that I'm extremely proud of to be talking to you about today. And some of you in the room may be wondering and going, I don't know, I only know Under Armour as something that's much more like this. Big dudes, tight shirts, that one still gets my foot tapping though. In more recent years though, we made a run at the women's business of really telling her that we were ready for it. In 2014, we unveiled a campaign called I Will What I Want with a beautiful personality called Misty Copeland from the American Ballet Theater. Or maybe we're close to the Bay Area and there's some Warriors fans in the room. And maybe you know us because of a special someone who's the two-time reigning NBA MVP.
It's all good. Woo! Now make that old.
You see, that is the side that most people know of Under Armour. And to set the stage, we are a company that has been built by each one of those athletes, each one of those products that has driven us, brick by brick. Beginning in a basement of a brick row house owned by my grandmother in Georgetown in Washington, D.C. And what you see behind me represents that transition, with elements of that Georgetown row house, as well as some of the reclaimed wood of our campus today that you find at our headquarters. You see, as most of us in this room, most of your companies they all began as an idea. And for me, my idea was simple. I was an athlete. I was a college football player. And I wasn't the biggest and I wasn't the fastest, but I had a huge passion. I had a passion about the fact that I wanted to be on that team, that I wanted to run out of that tunnel, that I wanted to be with the guys. I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to be a part of something bigger than myself. And that's what inspired me to make it onto that Division I athletic field. And so you think about where that first idea came from, because it was on that college campus at the University of Maryland, where it was hot on the East Coast. And any of you from the East Coast, you know what that humidity is like when it's that really heavy, heavy, deep heat. And that year, we'd had actually 9 of my teammates have been treated for dehydration that summer of 1995. And that kind of heat in my never-ending pursuit in a place where that heavy, sweat-soaked, drenched cotton T-shirt, that I'm sitting here thinking, why has nobody ever made a better alternative to that wet cotton T-shirt before? And the answer, there wasn't really one. No one had ever considered it before. Is that we wore and we accepted wearing a short-sleeve cotton T-shirt in the summer and a long-sleeve cotton T-shirt in the winter. And as any athlete will tell you, every little bit counts. I mean, I played football my whole life. From grade school over here, where you see my white and blue Maplewood football uniform, my black and red flannel shirt to keep me warm when it was cold outside, to high school and then on to college eventually. But I never liked the way that cotton T-shirt felt. Somebody should have done something about it. That original insight was so simple and so pure, but the foundation for something that's so much bigger. As I said, that's where my passion kicked in and met with my curiosity. And that's where the entrepreneurial spirit took over, to build something bigger, to build something better, a better T-shirt, one that would keep athletes dry and light. And beginning with that one shirt, I learned how to make it in a place that I'd only seen on television or movies. I didn't know how to make apparel. And I was in College Park in D.C. I went to a local tailor. I bought some fabric, and I'd heard about this place called the Garment District in New York City. So I got in my 1992 Ford Explorer, drove up to New York City, parked my car at 34th and 7th Avenue, and I just started to figure it out, making and finding someone to help me perfect that first prototype. And from that prototype, and from having the right fabric with that prototype, what I was worried about was something that wouldn't hold moisture, and just as importantly, wouldn't hold the moisture's weight. And then finding the people to help me make it better. And then using and taking that product and sending it to all the people I'd played with, from my grade school to my high school to my prep school. And then eventually on the University of Maryland, I had close to 23 of my friends had been recruited and signed Division I scholarships. I had this network, and some of us, we take for granted the size of the networks that we have today. Of the 23 that signed Division I, 13 ended up getting drafted into the NFL. 4 of them ended up being first-round draft picks. And one of them ended up being the Heisman Trophy winner and a guy named Eddie George. And you think about all that talent, all that access that I had. What could I do with it? And with their feedback, we continued to perfect our shirt to make it popular with athletes all across the country. And that grew into actually people starting to pay for it versus my freeloading friends. And I made my first sale to Georgia Tech. And when that check came in, it felt real. And it was like, wow, this is a business. And many of you can relate with that when you actually find people that will take cold, hard cash out of their pocket and pay you for your good or service. The entrepreneurial dream was alive, and it was kicking, and it was great. And seeing our product in locker rooms, one athlete at a time, the offense, then the defense, then the whole team, then one team played another, began to spread. And that's when we knew that we were onto something. So there I was, ready to set up shop. And here I sit today, 20 years from Grandma's row house, using the dining room on that little townhouse as my office. And Under Armour began to grow. 17,000 in revenue that first year, to 110,000 the second year, to 400,000 the third year, to 1.3 million to 5 million. So 5 years from zero to our first 5 million in revenue. The next 5 years from 5 to just under 300 million. The next 5 years beyond that from 300 to crossing $1 billion in 2010. And then this year, as we approach $5 billion in revenue, I still continue to pinch myself about what is possible. Because as Gary mentioned, as we are now the number 3 brand in the world, our eyes are set on a very clear place of being number 1. And it's not going to happen from any one person or any one sole entrepreneur. It's going to happen from your team. And my team is what began of just a single individual in Georgetown, to my first partner, Kip Fulks, joining me because he had credit cards and a car. To today, where Under Armour employs more than 15,000 teammates directly in 35 offices all over the world, and touching and affecting more than 360,000 jobs across all of our partners, suppliers, and factories. We're incredibly proud of what it means to have a business to succeed. It means jobs, and it means the better welfare of people. We are a brand with extreme personality and extreme point of view. And that is what we define as our culture. The approach that I took with that first product is the same that we take for each and every Under Armour product that we launch today. And we're going to launch some products today. I want to unveil and show you a few things today. But it's clear that our mission, as it states and it reads, to make all athletes better. And as we say, through passion, design, the relentless pursuit of innovation. It's so critical. Passion, there's a reason why the word passion comes first. You better feel it. You better feel it in your bones. Design, it better be beautiful. It better be something that people choose and want to choose to put on their bodies and make it a part of themselves, to identify with it. And then, of course, pursuing innovation. This is a brand that has been built on innovation, and we're going to talk a lot about innovation today. But I want to be clear, we are not just a logo slapped on a shirt or a shoe. I never wanted to be that. I never wanted the reason is because we happen to be cool at a given time. I never just wanted to be about flashy commercials or cool athletes, but oh my God, I'm happy we have them. Because brand is a culture, and that culture has the power to make you feel invincible. I spent a lot of times, and there's an old anecdote that I tell. It's a story, and it actually happened. But I was in a store, and I was watching people shop, and it's what you do, and it's kind of creepy. But you watch people shop, and you watch their habits. And I watch a mother walk into a room, and she's got two little boys with her, maybe 8 and maybe 10 years old. And all of a sudden, I watch a little 8-year-old boy approach the Under Armour section. All of a sudden, he grabs his mom's hand. He goes, "Mom, stop, look, Under Armour, Under Armour, Under Armour." And I'm watching this happen. I'm like, yes. And the mom just gives that look like, yank, like, don't do that. We didn't come here for that. You know, put your stuff down. We're here for your brother. And the kid's like, "Mom, Mom, Mom." I'm watching. I'm like, go, break away, break away. Kid gets off to the side. Mom gets distracted, walks over to the Under Armour section. I watch him take off this little compression shirt, pull it over his head, stick his arms through it like this, pull it down over his body. See, it's like all crinkling and tight. He's still got his school shirt on. It's all kind of jacked up on his collar. And he just walks out in the middle of the aisle. He just goes, "Hey, Ma," he goes, "look at me. I'm wearing Under Armour. I can do anything," like this. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, we made it. But when you really make it, is when it's just not little boys doing that, but it's little girls going like this too. And she can feel that way as well. And my little 10-year-old feels that same way. Because this isn't a product reserved for little boys. It's not reserved just for little girls. It's reserved for everybody. From elite athletes to all of us. To have something that when they put something on, it makes them feel like they can do just a little bit more. And that is the criteria that we design and build product with each and every single day. We build products that make you better. Products that give you an edge, that give you an advantage. That means when you pick up an Under Armour product, you must ask yourself, if we're doing our job, hey, is that an Under Armour shirt? If it is, the next question out of your mind should be, what's it do? Does it keep me cooler when it's hot outside? Does it keep me warmer when it's cold outside? Does it provide sun protection? Is it a sweatshirt that repels moisture? What are the things that it does to make it Under Armour? Because that's what makes us different from everybody else in our space. These are just some of the features that we define our company about. But only a few can lead. And especially, only the boldest will win. We expect to be that company. Because we don't just make products, we solve problems. And in solving problems, it is the Under Armour difference. It's what makes us different from the rest. And that is what defines our culture of innovation. And that culture of innovation has led us to many different incredible relationships with leagues, with teams, with athletes. You've seen many of them. From the NFL to the NBA, the Southampton Football Club and the EPL, to Colo-Colo down in Chile, to Sao Paulo Football Club in Brazil, to some of our collegiate partnerships like UCLA and Cal, Wisconsin most recently, as well as Notre Dame, just to name just a few of them. And last month, we announced another bold new partnership and hit a new milestone for our brand by announcing ourselves as the official outfitter of Major League Baseball. Beginning in 2020, we'll become the exclusive provider of all official on-field apparel and footwear for all 30 Major League Baseball clubs. Thanks to the vision of Commissioner Rob Manfred, as well as his amazing team with people like Bob Bowman, who was one of the keys to building and putting some of the most innovative league programs when it comes to digital, because of things like MLB Advanced Media. We've got a requirement beyond just making incredible uniforms on field. So in addition to those innovative on-field uniforms, we'll be offering things like around our exclusive connected fitness offerings to MLB teams. Think wearables and embeddables at a level you've never seen at the professional sports level before. Giving MLB players better data about themselves, as well as giving fans deeper access to information about players and about their health and about how they're performing. That is a critical component of everything we do. It better be special. As we say being special, it means doing it, of course, here at home, but it also means being a global brand. And as a global brand, though, you need to know where home is. And for us, look, we're a company that began in a row house in Georgetown in Washington, D.C. And it was the summer of 1998 that I decided to move out because there was a calling. There was some reason that I wanted to move my company to Baltimore. It just felt right. I don't know why. I had 4 older brothers. I needed to get away from home. I just needed to move somewhere far enough away, but close enough that I could still get to. And it created this new place that we invested in. And it's Baltimore, Maryland, USA. Today, our headquarters, as you see it here, sits on about 24 acres on the former Procter & Gamble R&D facility, their old innovation center, as well as a place, oddly enough, where they made soap. So I don't know. I haven't driven the analogy yet. These buildings were not built for offices, though, but they've certainly helped us facilitate our own innovation, including figuring out how to get across the railroad tracks, because there's literally a CSX freight train that runs through the center of our campus about 5 or 6 times a day. So if you've got a meeting on the other side, you better hustle or you better be able to jump. As I said, brands are about personality or point of view. If you got to beat a train every day, you'll develop one of those. What you see behind me is a map of our home city, because when I talk about brand, I don't just mean product. I mean the effect that we can have on our communities and how important that is, particularly for consumer-facing brands going forward. What you see is Washington, D.C. is down to the left, New York City's to the right, Baltimore sits here in the middle, our stadiums, our current headquarters over here on the Inner Harbor. And over the last 5 years, we've spent time acquiring land and putting parcels together, assembling more than 260 acres of land that'll lay home to our future home and campus, with 50 of it being the anchor of the Under Armour new campus. What makes this important is that as a brand person, we have a chance to paint a new vision, to use the energy that is Under Armour, and to change the way that people think about not just, I think, our region, but really about our city, to have the brand effect of what that can mean, and the ability for us to do that. Because some people, when they like to make fires, some people, they rub sticks like this. Some people scratch rocks. I like to take a teeny tiny little match, and I like to pour about 100 gallons of kerosene directly on top of it and make a lot of heat. And that's what we have the ability to do. Creating Baltimore's new front porch, 42 million cars a year that'll drive by on 95, changing one impression at a time and building up what that can be. In addition to on this piece of land, something we've done immediately. We found something called the Old City Garage. Literally, it was the city garage where the city would keep the old buses and police cars that would be there for repair. And we transformed the city garage into something that we now call the UA Lighthouse. You see, at Under Armour, as we've grown to become a global company, we've added innovation centers all over the world. But where's the anchor point for all those innovation centers? And they must come back through headquarters. So amongst them, of finding a place with all that ideating, perfecting, and creating Under Armour product, it must have an anchor to be home. The UA Lighthouse is that central global place where all that innovation comes together. So if brands are meant to demonstrate their personality and their point of view, well then, that should include a bit of theater as well. When you come to the Under Armour Lighthouse, you're met like this. 70,000 square feet of nothing you've ever seen before. And that lighthouse is there to serve 3 purposes for our company. As I mentioned, number 1, the central point of innovation where all the thinking from all over the world comes together. The second point is what we call process improvement. The way that shirts and shoes are made today should be made better. And the reason for that is because in our industry that we celebrated our 20th year in business this year, we have competitors that have been around for 46 and 62 years. Yet in our industry, we still make a shirt and a shoe the same way that we did 80 and 100 years ago. We find that to be criminal. We find that to be an opportunity. To make one pair of shoes today, like the shoes on my feet, can take as many as 300 pairs of hands. Why can't we make it better? And third, we expect to lead the way for what we call local for local manufacturing. As I mentioned footwear, let me give you an example. Footwear, to begin with, was typically mostly made in Western Europe. And what you saw as America came on, became the force and power that it was, it moved to the Northeast, mostly around Massachusetts, where we would make all of our footwear and had a lot of our apparel manufacturing as well. And then all of a sudden, footwear was then pulled and it was moved over to Asia. And in Asia, where it took a long time, and then all of a sudden, the industry began chasing low costs and finding the cheapest place to make footwear. Well, there's no place else to go. So the only choice for any of us is to do it the right way. We call that local for local manufacturing. Because if we're going to do that, we should be bringing jobs back, not just America to America, but helping to tighten our supply chains all over the world. Because the fact of the matter is that product for the people of Sao Paulo, they want it made in Brazil. The people of Australia want product that is made there. The people of America want product that is made here. And we see we have the ability to do it better. And it's time for all of us to make and invest in that. But to do that, and to be more efficient, and to bring product closer to market, we're going to have to be thinking. We cannot muscle our way through this next chapter. And at the heart of our innovation story is how we can incite people with technology and innovation to hopefully help us make the shoe more efficient. It's a bigger idea that a company can play in a city and that help in all of our cities. Because without innovation, a project of this magnitude that has the power to transform a city, frankly, it just would not be possible. So a commitment to innovation is what CES is all about. But again, why a sports brand at CES? Let me give you some history. One of my early trips to CES was back in 2009. And if you look and you think about what the big ideas were, last year it was drones. This year I think we're still developing what the big idea was. And it was wearables the year before that. But in 2009, the big idea that year was the super flat panel television. And I remember walking around, I just saw like great brand after great brand that all had their version of the super flat panel television. Now, effectively what we're talking about is a 6-inch flat panel television moving to like a 4-inch flat panel television. And the really innovative companies had it down to like 3 inches or maybe 2 inches. And you're thinking to yourself, is that the best thinking that we can have? Like, what a waste of resources. Everyone had their own version of it. And I thought to myself, what if we could take all those tens of thousands of engineers working for each different brand? What if we could peel some of them off? What if we have them focused on an idea as simple as making athletes better? What that would mean to us. Imagine 1,000 engineers working on products that consumers would find in sporting goods stores. Would we be that much closer to something like solving the issue of like concussions? Would we have already found the answer to something like a sweat-soaked cotton t-shirt? Back in 2009, 10, and 11, there were thousands of employees of Under Armour. But as I took role, we had less than a few dozen engineers. And I thought to myself, how can we fast-pace and fast-track that? How can we increase that? And began realizing this void that we had not only in our company, but really in our industry, about how we really thoughtfully address the problems that consumers face when it comes to sport, and the way we could do and offer and give more. It got me to think about our own digital aspirations for our own future. And it brought this vision to life with this commercial that we made. And that's how we think things out at Under Armour sometimes, is we make this creative and we make it visual so everyone can understand it. To bring this vision to life, we crafted a commercial campaign around a product that doesn't even exist yet, but one we believe could happen. It's a vision of what apparel and footwear is supposed to look like, and one that we lovingly call Future Girl. Please take a look.
Our job is to make you better. To make all athletes better. To inspire you. To empower you. And to connect you to the world's greatest design and innovation. All you must provide is the will to make it happen.
Imagine being able to receive readings from your clothing based on performance, controlling the microclimate that exists between your apparel and your skin by simply the swipe on your wrist, even choosing the color of your footwear or your apparel digitally. The challenge that I give to our product teams each season isn't about what are we going to do with our current competition. It's what are we going to do if Apple and Samsung decide they want to start making apparel and footwear. And if they did, what would it look like? And more importantly, what would it do? And how do we beat them to it? How are we thinking ahead of that curve? Because we expect to lead in the world of embeddables and the way consumers receive their own biometric information. Everything that makes sense to have a chip in it, it should, but it doesn't mean everything should. It means that we return real value in decision-making, helping consumers make better choices to help them enrich their lives. And again, we expect to build it first. But to accomplish that, we needed more smart people. We need to start thinking about the problems of athletes in the industry of sport. That's what drove us to think about the way that we could accomplish this task. And we decided to do it through a couple of strategic partnerships that we went out and brought into our business. And in so doing, we ended up forming the world's largest digital health and fitness community ever assembled. That future vision led us to bring on 3 new companies into the Under Armour fold, the first acquisitions we've ever made: MapMyFitness, Endomondo, and MyFitnessPal. The first to join was MapMyFitness. It was the fall of 2013. MapMyFitness is effectively a GPS-based social fitness app that allows athletes to map their route and record a workout. And then in 2015, we added Endomondo, which is a similar workout tracker, but it was based in Europe and is the leader in that region of the world. And then finally was MyFitnessPal, the world's largest database of food ever assembled in the history of mankind. And if you know someone who's tracking what they eat, you know someone who is using MyFitnessPal, and I'm sure there are several in here that have the ability to button their jeans as part of the thanks for what they have. Together, these 3 apps not only provided Under Armour the global scale nutritional expertise to make athletes better through connected fitness, but also to be the leaders in the space. Last year alone, for perspective, we had 2.6 billion workouts and activities logged into our apps. We had over 9.6 billion foods logged through MyFitnessPal. We also gained a team of engineers totaling more than 300 some odd people in our connected fitness teams around the world between Austin, San Francisco, Copenhagen, and Baltimore. And last year, we created a new app that we launched right here on this stage with one of our partners in connected fitness, IBM CEO Ginny Rometty, where we announced this new product that we have in the vision of what was to be built. It was the next step in our vision for connected fitness, something that we call Under Armour Record. It frustrated us to know that we know more about our cars or about our bank accounts than we do about our own #1 asset in the world, our own health and fitness. Creating that digital dashboard of your fitness and wellness, known as UA Record, built around the 4 quadrants, as we call them, your fitness and wellness: sleep, fitness, activity, and nutrition. UA Record was built to be the complete picture of an athlete or everyone's life. That's the vision, to have this holistic system that can help you make better choices about your life. And with the scale of our platform, it set the stage for everyone, not just those who consider themselves athletes. But doing this, we can help you turn your data into direction, to help you make better choices, to reach your fitness and wellness goals, and with that, overall health goals. I'm going to come back to UA Record, but what I want to do is basically give you a sense of the scale of the community that we've assembled. By combining these 3 apps, we've assembled more than 194 million registered users and growing nearly 100,000 each day. To give you some sense of that, since Christmas, we've added more than 1 million people to our platform, and it's growing. For us, it was never just about the number or the community. It's about a completely open community. Because when we talk about devices, it wasn't just about one device. Our platform actually works with over 400 different devices. Jawbone, Fitbit, Apple Watch, iOS, Android, it does not matter. We remain agnostic. In fact, just a couple days ago, we announced a new collaboration with Samsung to make all of Under Armour's connected fitness apps available in the Samsung family of gear wearable devices. I want to thank our partners from Samsung for that. We also offer our own connected fitness system called the UA Health Box, which we launched here on this stage at CES last year. And HealthBox was meant to be this first complete holistic system, a band, a heart rate strap, and a scale, creating that complete system for the consumer. But it was never really our intention to be in the hardware space. We just wanted to show that it was possible. And in doing that, and in being in that way, it allows us, again, that's idea of how crazy it is, knowing more about our cars than we do about our own bodies. The ability to inform us with better choices and better decisions that'll help us lead a better, healthier life. That's the goal and the vision we have for this space. But beyond that, our intention is to be the destination, unless, of course, that device happens to be a shirt or a shoe. A connected device that we unveiled last year at CES as well is one that falls into this category. We call it the Gemini 2 Record Equipped. It was a running sneaker. It was the world's first really connected shoe. This shoe tracks and stores everything that you do from time and date, duration, distance, and splits, and it integrates directly into our Map My Run application. With no start or stop button to hit, it's the ultimate in untethered running. Basically, lace them up, put the shoe on, and start running. And the shoe will record all the information that you need. For perspective, through our connected fitness platform, I mentioned the 2.6+ billion workouts we had. More than 257 million of those workouts were runs last year alone, with the average run being about 4.508 miles, about that. This data has helped us become experts in run, giving us a purview unlike any other brand or any other company to see how the consumer is using our product, where they're going, where they're running, how they're using the product to help us make better decisions, to make better product to help our consumer. We're constantly challenging our team to find new ways to make all athletes better, whether it's through shirts, shoes, or our connected fitness platform. And not long ago, we noticed as athletes at training centers, we thought about this shoe. What else can we do with this shoe? We started talking to some of our athletes, and the best athletes in the world. As I said, at some of the best, most elite training centers all across the world. And we asked them about some of the things that they looked at, some of the things that they measured. And one of the most important ones to them was athlete readiness, how they can measure athlete readiness. And what they use is they have a track with lasers and lights. The athletes would do a series of jumps, and it would tell them the status of their muscular fatigue through their body's response time. And from there, they could tailor their workouts for the days. And this is what the best were doing. None of us, the rest of us, have ever heard of it before. And if you want to see what one of these systems look like, which is really kind of untenable because they cost somewhere between $15,000 to $50,000 to $100,000, we've got one set up at our booth in the Sands Expo if you want to take a chance to walk over there and see it. But what could we do to help leverage this for every person? So it hit us. What if we could include this technology in our record-equipped shoe? So it's exactly what we did. And in doing so, we created a shoe where you put it on, jump up and down 6 times, and provides an evaluation on your readiness to work out. If you've ever been to a University of Wisconsin football game, we're going to work into exactly what this works. And you've seen the third quarter go to the fourth quarter. You began to outfit who we just began to outfit this past year. You'll understand what this test is about. This readiness test, this jump test is about a jump around. And in order for me to do this, I'd like to show you how this works. I'd like a friend of mine, if you don't mind, to come out and help me do this. And we made a commercial with him this year that actually happened to be chosen Adweek's best commercial of the year. Let me let the commercial do the introduction.
It's the last goodbye, I swear. I have no regrets, for the past is behind.
gentlemen, the greatest Olympian of all time, Michael Phelps. Thank you, Michael, for coming out.
Thank you.
So I saw you backstage just a second ago. I said that spot, because when we did the unveil for you, it was one of those, how's it make you feel? What's that spot do for you still when you see it today?
It's still the same. You know, for me, it still chokes me up and brings tears to my eyes just watching, because, you know, I mean, I've talked to so many people about, when I was filming it, I was like, how is this going to turn out? Like, I had no idea how it was going to turn out. I mean, it's so, like, when you film a commercial, you always have, like, you're like, okay, they know what they're doing, but you don't really believe it until you see the final picture. And
Thanks
some
for
of
confidence, Mike.
Hey, I always have confidence in you. You know that. You have to know that by now. But it was truly amazing how it turned out, and it really just showed everything, sort of how my career was, and what I did to be able to accomplish the things that I did, and you know, obviously being able to, you know, to work together and show that and have such a phenomenal ad. I mean, it's truly a pleasure for me.
Right. I mean, I think it just captures some of just what goes into your training. That, and I think that's the thing that moved you so much when you got to see it for the first time, when you and Nicole got to see it at the Under Armour headquarters. And it was like, I don't know if people know what you go through, staring at that black line, the cupping, all those other extreme training methods that you go through. It's
craziness, and especially for me being at the age of 31 in my last Olympics. You know, I had to think and be ready for absolutely anything that maybe I wasn't ready for before. I didn't need to think about as much of before, and recovery was so big.
Right. All right, so let's talk readiness for a second. Like, what you used to do as an athlete for readiness now, how did you used to use systems, enhancers, and what's available to you now, and the things of how important is it for you?
I mean, for me, so being able to have these shoes, being able to understand sort of what my body is telling me. I wish I had stuff like this 4 years ago. You know, it's completely different now with what technology is doing, and how it's helping you get the best out of yourself. So for me, it's like, if I would have had something like this to tell Bob, I would have been like, Bob, I got the red light today. I need to take it easy.
You wouldn't have done that.
He never would have done it. But now, for me, being outside of the sport where I can't go in, well, I'm not going to go in and swim 16,000 yards a day for exercise, where I'm starting to run or I'm starting to bike. I'm doing these different things now that my body's not used to. So being able to have the opportunity to have something like this, where it can tell me, go for it, go for the 8 mile, or maybe take it easy and go a 2 mile run today instead.
16,000 yards, that's like 6 miles?
That's a couple miles.
Good Lord. All right, I'm glad we don't do that. So would you mind helping us demo what these shoes actually do?
Let's do it.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is, as Michael said, what the shoe basically does is, on the app, is when you go to the MapMyFitness app, available February 1st, it's going to give you 3 readings after you go through the test. First, we're going to start with the start test banner, and you'll find three bits of advice. Either number 1, green means go hard. Number 2, yellow means go even. Or number 3, red means go easy. And you'll get a score. And each score will vary for whoever is putting them on, but the shoe will learn upon itself. So you have to do this for 3 days in a row. And then on the 4th day, it'll actually give you a reading that'll tell you how ready you are to go. So let's go ahead and get ourselves teed up. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go ahead and start, and I'm going to push the virtual start test for Michael to help him do it. And we could use the crowd to help him get excited about doing this. So if we're ready, let me press this. Let me press the start test, and we'll push and start this thing going. So press, please. Whoa, I'm not going to make him do this by himself. Everybody out there, get up on your feet. Let's get some jumping going on. This is CES. We need some blood flowing. We need some movement. Help us out here today. Help our Olympian. You're not going to embarrass the greatest Olympian of all time. Make him do it by himself. Make sure you got enough room. We had to sign waivers at the door. We're not covering any insurance claims or anything else today. Don't overextend yourself, but let's do this the right way. So if we can, remember, it's 6 jumps in the air and you get a score. So let's go ahead. If we can tee the music up. DJ, please kick that. Get him! Get him! Come on! Get him! Get him! Get him! All right. There was some pretty lousy jumping going on out there, I just want to say.
We had some.
That's all we're going to push you for today. You had your shot. Thank you very much. And Michael, let's see How did your score look today? It's number 2 night or number 1 night in Vegas?
This is my second day.
Okay,
so
second
we got
day
it
in
last
Vegas,
night.
and you still recorded a 585. So for an Olympian, that's like a pretty, for a human, that's an incredible score. For an Olympian,
Mediocre.
it's a night in Vegas. So it's been a good time here, of course, too. So what would this mean to you, Mike, of being able to have this type of capability and just like your shoe, again, not that huge system, not having to go check it out, but just standing next to your bed and finding out how you look for the morning?
I mean, for me, like, from going from, like I was saying earlier, from going from an athlete now to kind of just trying to stay in shape.
Yeah.
And being able to know what my body is telling me. So, for me now, being able to have this where I am going on runs or bikes or doing things that I probably didn't do every day before, it's allowing me to listen to my body and with what it's telling me to say, today, yeah, I'm fine, I'm even, so I can go out and go for a casual run or a casual jog, and I know not to fully push my body to the complete max. I think that's something that, for all of us is really cool to be able to just know,
right.
Just have that knowledge and have those stats that
right.
we have. And I mean, for me, statistics were always so important,
right.
And especially the tail end of my career. I was able to learn about so much stuff, whether it's sleep or if we're really ready to go, if our body's fully recovered. Right. So for me, this is awesome, and I'm pumped to now experience, I guess, life outside of the water, I guess you could say. Yeah. So it's a new journey, and this will be a lot of fun.
One more shooting place in the desert. Thank you,
Thanks,
Mike
buddy.
Phelps. Great
Thanks,
to see you.
buddy.
Appreciate it.
Thank
One
you.
round of applause for Mike Phelps.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. So in addition to the jump round test that gives you your readiness, it also does things like coaches you your effort through the run, measuring impact after the workout, and finally in between, measuring your readiness over time. The jump around test, as I mentioned, will be featured in the MapMyFitness app, and it'll be launched for us on February 1st. So to go with it, we're also releasing 3 new models of our record-equipped footwear line. First is a neutral all-purpose shoe, great for long runs, called the Gemini 3. Secondly is our first true stability shoe called the Europa. And third is a shoe called the Velocity, a 7-ounce light trainer that we have, all with this untethered running capability. The first ever connected fitness product that answers the question why. Why you might push harder, why you ought to take it easy. Our ambition is to move beyond telling you what you did and begin to tell you what you should do. That's the role of brands. And the ability for us to send updates to any pair of shoes, just like you could to a phone or to a car, that's the expectation that we have with the gear that we put on our bodies. As I said earlier, our platforms remain all agnostic, and they will stay that way. So no matter what you're using, HealthBox, record-equipped shoe, Apple Watch, Samsung, Gear 3, Fitbit, that's your call. Our purpose is to be the holistic destination for you, based on the strength of our community. So at UA, I use whiteboards to define our culture. Walk with a purpose, overpromise and deliver, dictate the tempo, done, done, done. In the center of it, though, is simply written in red ink, don't forget to sell shirts and shoes. To any of the entrepreneurs out there, I encourage you to write this down and answer for yourselves, what is your shirts and shoes? Because if you don't know what that is, your business model's got a crack. In this community, that's going to help us create new products, better serve the consumer, and ultimately to help us sell more shirts and shoes. The expectation that we know of the consumer is going to change of what their expectation is for an athletic brand. And we believe the role of any brand is to give you products that, number one, you didn't know that you needed, and then once you have them, wonder how you ever could have lived without them. Think about remote controls, if people in here are too young for that. Smartphones, car hailing. These things didn't exist 10 or 15 years ago. We have a saying at Under Armour that is, data is the new oil. And we're putting this concept at the center of the transformation of our company. Because 2017 is a year for us that we embark on the true digitization of our brand after 20 years of preparing ourselves as a business. When you hear about companies like Amazon attributing 40% of their sales to what they call the recommendation engine alone, it's not hard to understand the role that data can and frankly is playing in many companies and their models today. By building our mobile offerings, we've created a compelling way for consumers to tell us more about themselves, to help us make better informed decisions on how we can serve them, how they work out, what they're doing, how they're consuming food, what their fitness goals are, and more. But what makes data great is having lots and lots of it so we can get to the best information to make those great decisions, to move beyond transactional data into truly to be able to hit with our consumers on global point of sale where we can react to their needs. As a result, we're in the process of building the most robust database of any apparel or footwear company today. And very simply at Under Armour, we call this our math house. Through this partnership that we have built with SAP, of understanding this information, of understanding this data, to find the trends in what we call our SVOC, the single view of the consumer. It allows us to determine the next problem to solve of innovative products. And again, in 2006, as I said, we had 2.6 billion workouts and activities logged around the world. Let's take a look at what that looks like when you put them all onto one heat map and we look at the world. And if you see some of these red dots that are out in the middle of the ocean somewhere, those are on cruise ships or on tankers of people exercising. Those aren't made up little dots. So these are all the runs. Let's see all the runs that took place. And let's focus on 4 cities: Tokyo, San Francisco, New York City, and London. Now, how many of the runs were also just cycling? And as we move from cycling, we can also see how many of them were just walking. It is an awesome view of the world to be able to help us make better decisions and better choices. We are designing a world today where the information that we have will inspire new innovations and continue to solve the problems of consumers. I can't show you more because I have a feeling there aren't some competitors in the room today, so we're going to draw the line. And they were the ones that weren't jumping in that jump around thing. I get it. But we are truly just scratching the surface on this. Truly, when we think about the fact that we do know more about our cars and our bank accounts, why do we accept that? It's crazy. Than the information we know about our number one asset. The consumer, as we think about this, for us, must always live at the center. Must live at the center of everything that we do. Because our users have entrusted us with this information, and that's a responsibility that we accept and we own. And at Under Armour, is something we've always said, trust. Trust is one of those things that's the center of everything we do. And trust is something that is built in drops, and it is lost in buckets. And we never want to let that happen. So when you think about what Facebook has done for social, what Amazon has done with Amazon Prime has done for purchasing, what LinkedIn has done for business, we expect to do with fitness and wellness. Our team is dedicated to changing the expectation that you have from an athletic brand. I want to show you an example of a learning that we gained through Connected Fitness and how it's informed more of the products that we're unveiling this year at CES. We looked at our 257 million runs and cross-referenced those with logging their sleep. Of the athletes with a greater amount of rest in between runs, of those who log sleep with us, we noticed they burn more calories on their next run with a greater amount of rest. Basically, runners who are not giving themselves enough rest in between runs accumulated what we call a debt. And as a result, we began looking into the ways that athletes can properly recover to regain 100% performance. The answer was really simple, and it led us to one very big insight and opening. This began our journey of unlocking greatness through the science of sleep and recovery. Let me ask you, how many people in this audience know how to sleep? How many people in this audience learned how to sleep or were taught how to sleep? How many people just fell asleep on their mom's chest and kept doing it for the rest of time? Does that really sound like a strategy? Not a single one of us. Why is that? The sleep we get now is we get it a lot of times when we can fit it in front of the TV, on a plane, in a chair. That's not the sleep that's going to get you to your optimal best, or frankly, anywhere close to it. You need sleep to perform your best to do anything at a high level. And that's where we take a different point of view at Under Armour. Again, solving problems that you never even knew that you had, that's what this brand was built on. So whether it's coming up with a boot that was made with Michelin tire treads that still looks pretty darn sick, whether it's a new jacket that we have out called the Swacket, part sweater, part jacket, whether it's a great new running shoe that also tracks your vitals, we look at what's accepted as the standard and we improve upon it. We look at these massive opportunities for us to make our lives better, with a third of our lives coming from something like sleep. Like exercise and nutrition, your sleep needs a strategy. We're calling this strategy rest, win, repeat. I'm as excited about sleep as I was when I had the idea for the first Under Armour t-shirt. And no one is owning this space or has even made an attempt at this space. We want to help. We see the ability to do this both digitally through our connected fitness platform, as well as physically through our shirts and shoes business. And there's more on that in just a moment. But first, I'd like to bring out a friend of mine to help me articulate this need for better sleep, and someone who literally wrote the book on it. Please take a look at this and help me invite my friend. Great to have you here, Ariana.
So great to be here.
So our friendship, I say our partnership, our friendship, it began a few years ago, and it started with, I think we were sitting at a table together, and you just kind of looked at me and said, "You don't sleep much, do you?" And I thought, why? And you were in the middle of writing your book, but what did you see, or tell me what you saw in life, and tell me your own experience and how.
So I saw
helped
that you
others.
were exhausted, and of course, being a convert to sleep myself, having myself collapsed from exhaustion and broken my cheekbone on the way down, I started telling you about how essential sleep is for performance. And for me, it is incredibly exciting to hear you here speak about helping people, helping the world make better choices. And one of the ways to do that is to appreciate that all the new science, all the new data makes it absolutely clear that sleep is a performance enhancer. That is really huge, as our new president-elect would say. And it is huge to have a brand like Under Armour that is identified with performance to actually talk about that and to put it forefront at an event like this. And for me, what is essential is to realize that we've been living under this collective delusion that sleep is not necessary, that if we are really type A driven people who can dispense with it. And you know, cultures have often believed the wrong thing. Did you know that? We used to believe the sun revolves around the earth. We used to believe that smoking was good and glamorous. We used to believe that Brad and Angelina would last forever. And
come back in store.
all these things turned out not to be true. The same thing is about sleep. Sleep is a non-negotiable performance enhancer.
Right. I think people would brag. I know I would. I was, you know, you'd look and you'd value yourself based on how hard you could go, the longer, the stronger, and that wasn't it. And you know, the way that I think we all consume media through things in the past, like looking at the Huffington Post, but all of this about sleep, it is very personal to you as well. So why has it been such a personal road and experience for you, Ariana?
Well, what I found as I went around the world talking about these two books, Thrive and The Sleep Revolution, I saw that millions of people really are sick and tired of being sick and tired,
Yes.
and that they want to change. And that's why I left the Huffington Post to create this new company, Thrive Global, and I'm so excited to be partnering with you to help people make better choices through micro steps. Yes. You know, just small little incremental changes that help us be better and more productive at everything we're doing through this technology platform that we've built, and also through changing the culture, because it's harder to change your personal habits if you're swimming in a culture that believes the wrong thing. That's why I love your new slogan. Rest, win, repeat.
Over and
It's
over.
amazing. Rest, win, repeat. It's so much better than I'll sleep when I'm dead. or you snooze, you lose, which are just simply wrong.
Well, for the next chapter that I've been unveiled out here is that I needed some credibility, and there was no one better to lay that out. Maybe before you take off, Ariana, you can give our guests out here in Las Vegas, keep in mind for the night, any advice you can give them on how to get a good night's rest tonight.
So, tonight and for every other night, the only non-negotiable piece of advice is at a certain point before you're going to turn off the lights, And remember, as the commercial said earlier, what you do in the dark determines who you are in the light. So before you turn off the light, turn off all your devices and gently escort them out of your bedroom. If you are in your hotel room, put them in the bathroom. The key here is that now we take better care of our smartphones than we take care of ourselves. We know exactly how much battery remains in our smartphone, and 70% of people sleep with their phones, either on their nightstand or with them in their bed. That has to stop if you want to be, and I'm working on him, but that has to stop if you're going to be performing at your best, and really that's what you and Under Armour are about. And when people realize that, they are really going to feel invincible when they wake up in the morning after a great night's sleep. So what happens in Vegas normally should stay in Vegas, except for this message. Please spread it far and wide. It will make a real difference in people's lives.
Your sleep credibility is beautiful. Your energy is irresistible. Thank you so much, Ariana.
Thank you.
So great to have you here. Ability of Ariana, having written the book on sleep, I want to unveil this next chapter for you about our company. We benefit from sharing our home city with one of the top institutions in the world of science, Johns Hopkins Medicine. We partnered with their sleep scientists at Hopkins on a research study to bring their expertise to our millions of connected fitness users and unlock the science of sleep. See, the issue with current sleep tracking devices today is that everything only gives you a daily look. How much did I sleep last night? I don't know what to do with it. But it tells you how much you slept last night, and then it gives you this light blue and this dark blue. This means light sleep, this is wake-up times, and then here's your deep sleep. And mistakenly, we all think that deep sleep is some answer for us having had a good sleep. Regardless of what device that you use, through new tracking capabilities in Under Armour Record, we'll examine your sleep patterns over time, and then turn that data into direction based on the insights of Johns Hopkins research, decades of research. Analyzing your sleep data can be complex and overwhelming, especially when all you really want to do is just know, how'd I do? So out of all the people logging sleep on our platform, I can tell you right now, the average sleep is 6.8 hours. I also know the average sleep length for males 35 to 44 is 6.5 hours. My average sleep time is just over 5 hours. So to help people understand their sleep data, we've developed something which is new to any of the sleep systems that you've seen so far, and it's called your 14-day sleep score. Your score is based on factors scientifically proven to matter most for performance: duration, time spent awake, and consistency. 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 It's a common misconception about light sleep or deep sleep. And each type of sleep we have provides different benefits to us. What's most important about sleep is that you're getting enough of it with minimal interruptions, that you're consistent about when you get it. And yes, even on weekends and even on trips to Vegas. To help with the tracking of your consistency, we created something that we call the body clock. Let's look at an average body clock for what a human would look like. So you see they're going to bed around 11-ish, they're waking up around 7-ish or so, and then you see on the weekends they're staying up a little bit later. Now, if we talked about sleeping for optimal performance, we'd look for a body clock to look a little more like this. Draw it into a little bit, and we sort of average and get the bars lined up, where we're going to sleep at a consistent time, and we're waking up at a consistent time. The idea is what we call stacking the bars. And to help us really introduce this, Ariana is an expert, but really part of the impetus for this entire progress with sleep was driven by one of our athletes and one of our longtime partners, who's one of the best, highest performing athletes in the world and continues to do it at the highest level. 4-time Super Bowl champion, NFL quarterback, Tom Brady. And Patriots fans in the room, you Jets fans, hold on. And let's take a look at the average. Now let's take a look at what Tom Brady's sleep clock looks like. So if you look at Tom's, his is incredibly consistent. And this is how at 39 years old, he's still playing at an MVP category. Now, let's take a look at another body clock. Here's mine. Like, I travel a lot. I go to Asia, East Coast, West Coast, 250,000 miles on the road, all that kind of stuff. But as you can see, with constant changing time zones, my body clock is constantly off. And here's the why on how I'm performing. They say knowledge is power. And with this knowledge, I now know how I can change my own behavior to improve my own performance. I don't know how many have even thought about this. And to help you even further, we've incorporated several things with the tips into UA Record, including what we're calling Tom Brady's own 6 steps to a good night's sleep. Step 1, creating a pre-sleep routine to relax. Step 2, being consistent with bedtime. Step 3, being cool. They actually recommend 65 degrees in the room. So husbands and wives, you guys can duke it out over that one. Keeping the noise down, and also air quality is key. If you have pets and things, dander, things like that, will affect the quality of your sleep. And number 6, I'm gonna hold for just a little bit. Sleep is a big deal for us, but it's a piece of what we're announcing and launching today. I want to recap. We now have shoes that'll help measure your body's readiness, an app that'll tell you when to get a better night's sleep, and one more product innovation that I have to share with you today. I am incredibly proud to introduce a brand new sleepwear apparel line built in collaboration with sleep expert Tom Brady to make you better while you are sleeping, called Rest, Win, Repeat. Let me ask, how many of us in here wear jammies before we go to bed? Just underwear? Nothing at all? Well, today that changes, okay? The UA Athlete Recovery Sleepwear line includes full-length shirts and pants, as well as short sleeve and shirt version, three-quarter version, Henley versions. It is incredible, all armed with a bioceramic print on the inside. And if I tell you, it's the most comfortable, yummiest fabric you've ever felt in the world, and it looks and feels like jammies were supposed to feel. This print activates the body's natural heat and reflects it back as far infrared waves. Research shows that far infrared waves has many positive benefits that help regulate cell metabolism, reduce inflammation, and improve oxidation of the blood. It's this technology that Tom Brady credits as one of his keys to playing so long at an MVP level. In fact, it goes all the way back to the beginning of the 2014 season, before training camp started, when Tom actually had a tweak to his calf. In order to get ready for it, this is the first time where he really put the far infrared into his recovery. To help himself heal, he used this technology. It was in a gel form, and he loved the results so much, he challenged us as his brand, as his outfitter, and said, can you put this in clothing? Because I'd like to sleep in this every single night. And after about 2 years, about 2.5 years ago, it finally took us that long to come up with this idea and to deliver commercially this sleep recovery system. 2.5 years in development, refining this product, and now we're ready to share it with the world. Let's take a look at what Tom has to say.
What you are tomorrow is, really what you're planning for today. I want to do things that I love to do for a long time, so I've got to make conscious decisions to enable that. I believe you can only work out as hard as your ability to recover. So the harder you work out, the faster you break down. To be able to rebuild my body with a good night of sleep is so important to continuing to play football at a very high level. It's very functional wear. The technology behind it emits far infrared. The far infrared, when it's against your skin, ends up reducing inflammation. Well, we initially used a bioceramic with certain acute injuries and thought that this would provide incredible benefits if it was embedded in the sleepwear. And without the sleepwear, I don't really feel like I would be able to achieve the things that I have done and hope to continue to do.
So now you know what Tom thinks. And it's you can clap, it's okay. And we are a company built on selling shirts and shoes. And if we're a company that's going to change the way athletes sleep, we should also be changing the way that they dress for sleep. And the thing is, this is not just for athletes. The beauty of Under Armour has proven whoever invents the next great t-shirt wins. Think about that for your own industry. Whoever invents the next t-shirt wins. All the entrepreneurs in here thinking and having their own dreams of the businesses they expect to build. To finding those simple areas that we can unlock to reveal a new business for ourselves. Well, we believe that we've done this again. We've done exactly that. These aren't just pajamas. These are advantages. These are advantages that we give to the consumer, that we give to the athlete to make them just a little bit better. And my goal in speaking with you today was about showing you some of these advantages. Things like sleep. Things like connectivity in our footwear, things like the database that we hopefully expect to use to inform, to enrich, to make our lives better. This is what defines our culture, describes our community, launching new products and letting you know that we are the company of the future. A few months ago, we announced that Under Armour will be taking over one of the most iconic retail locations in the entire world. It's the former home of FAO Schwarz on Fifth Avenue in New York City. It's frankly New York at its finest, it's America at its finest, it's global retail at its finest anywhere, which means that we have a responsibility to this space, to our fans, and to our brand. Because there's a lot of great things that have happened in this store before. You're seeing a company that began by selling shirts and shoes and going through a digital transformation. And we expect to articulate at one of the most important retail environments in the world. And the challenge that I give to our product teams, beyond what are we going to do when the technology companies, the traditional technology companies, they start making shirts and shoes, but how do we compete here? How do we deserve to be here? How are we worthy to be here? How do we continue to put that flag so far out in the ground, to understand that we're aspiring to make Future Girl come to life? And not in 20, not in 15, not in 10, not in 5, maybe sooner. Years to bring that to life. I want it to be led by passion. The same way that someone walks out of one of those connected device companies, or you walk out of a traditional digital company, you say, my digital life just got restored. My laptop, my phone, my tablet, everything is in alignment. We expect to help connect your physical life, the data, the information, to empower you, to help you again make informed decisions to enrich your life. Don't be afraid to dream, because when you went to FAO Schwarz, it made you feel probably a little more like this. That feeling of holiday, that feeling like Christmas, that feeling of dreaming, why not? That feeling, that is brand, that is personality, that is point of view. As I mentioned, last year we celebrated our 20 years in business. No better place for this company to turn 21 than in Las Vegas. 20 years of us developing personality and point of view. 20 years of experience being on the fields with the teams. Being on the courts with the likes of MVPs, multiple MVPs. Being on the tennis courts with the current #1 ranked player in the world. On the track, in the gym, on the slopes with Lindsey Vonn, the most decorated female athlete of all time. In the ring with the current heavyweight champion and massive up-and-comer, Anthony Joshua. We're taking those 20 years of experience, research, anecdotes, and combining it with the results of nearly 200 million people and growing. And now, in preparation for the next 20, we're digitizing our brand. And that personal knowledge and experience that may be scribbled in little notebooks all over the place, maybe in laptops somewhere here and there, finally, we're giving the ability to have them digitized, to have them organized, and most importantly, to make sure that it's all utilized. CES is about progress. It's about finding a better way. And that same philosophy we've been operating under for the past 20 years. We believe, and hopefully you agree, that Under Armour belongs at CES because we've always been a technology company. Because any one of us can't afford not to be. That original tight t-shirt was a technological innovation and improvement over what was out there before. That's simple. If you're an entrepreneur trying to figure it out, it is that easy. Come up with that insight. Develop that one thing that makes you different, that makes a person's life better. And now, 20 years after pioneering the performance apparel category in sportswear, we still just look to help make athletes' lives a little better today. Our mission stays the same. We still create products that you didn't know that you needed, but once you have them, wonder how you ever going to live without them, how you ever going to go to sleep without your jammies on again. And along the way, we're changing the expectation that the consumer will have of any athletic brand. And if there is a brand for the next generation, we expect to be it. A brand built on innovation and making products that solve problems, making products that make you better. And with 20 years under our belt at Under Armour, we have a saying that goes very simply, we are just getting started. Thank you very much. So I'm going to walk off now, but before I do, we did that video with Tom Brady, and we thought to ourselves, what would it be like, because we're a shirts and shoes company and selling, and you got to make the rent and pay the bills and all that stuff. We thought, what if we use one of those shopping networks and put Tom Brady on it? What would that look like? And so this is maybe just an imaginary picture of what something like that might see, feel, or be like. So if you have time, stick around and watch, and if not, we bid you a great day. But ladies and gentlemen, please roll the film, and thank you once again. Have a great, great day, CES. Thank you.
And welcome back to QBC. What are we looking at today, Raj?
It's our very first product line with the greatest QB of all time, TB12 himself, Mr. Tom Brady.
Mr. Brady is ready for bed wearing TB12's new Under Armour Recovery sleepwear.
He's gonna catch more Z's than his receivers catch TDs, which stands for touchdown.
I knew that.
Let's go ahead and get a very close shot of this. I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure that this is science. Notice that hexagonal pattern on the inside material of the sleepwear. Now, that's uniquely designed to improve blood flow as you rest. Coincidentally, I wish someone could have improved the blood flow in my marriage.
Okay, that's too much, Raj. And the phones are already lighting up. Caller Sean L. from Long Island, you're on.
First of all, Brady sucks. Second, I'm a huge fan of these Tom Brady Under Armour pajamas. Pats suck.
No, you suck, man.
Okay, nobody sucks here. Go back to sleep, Tom. Much appreciated, Sean.
Viewers at home, we have our own separate line of QBC sleep products, and Tom is showing off one of our latest.
The Tom Brady Performance Teddy. Oh, and this is great. Give it a little squeeze, Tom.
Go to sleep.
Okay, that was a big squeeze. And what better way to ultimately relax than with QBC's Relaxation Station Noise Machine?
These noises were made by Tom Brady himself. Nod off to ocean breezes.
Call, call.
Stormy weather. Whale sounds. Whale sounds. And of course, a coach's whistle.
Sleep, sleep.
Did you know Tom wrote a book about sleeping?
America, get these products now before they drift off, folks. You snooze, you lose. A good snooze.